The alien ships hovered ominously above Earth, their sleek, otherworldly designs shimmering against the backdrop of space. The Xanteri, a race of towering, insectoid beings with advanced weaponry and decades of galactic domination, had arrived with a singular purpose: to scout Earth for resources and assess its threat potential. They had monitored humanity for decades, their high-tech sensors effortlessly intercepting Earth's primitive transmissions. The Xanteri thought little of the humans. They were merely an insignificant species on a backwater planet. But they were wrong. On a clear, quiet morning, the first surprise came. Humanity had long since learned the value of secrecy in their own defense. While Earth's technological landscape appeared archaic to the Xanteri, humanity had been building, studying, and experimenting in the shadows. What the Xanteri didn't anticipate was the human ability to adapt rapidly to new technologies, and more importantly, to innovate in ways no alien could predict. A massive Xanteri warship, the Raven's Fang, arrived above the skies of Earth. Its hull gleamed with alien precision as its systems hummed with energy. Its crew believed the operation would be swift, a simple exercise of asserting dominance over a weak, unsuspecting species. But as the Raven's Fang prepared to deploy its forces, humanity struck. A group of rogue military scientists, collaborating with world governments in secret, had developed a weapon they called the Phantom Pulse, a pulse wave emitter that could disrupt alien technologies. As the Raven's Fang powered up its energy weapons, the pulse struck, sending a wave of invisible energy rippling across the sky. The Xanteri ship's systems flickered, its shields failing as the pulse short-circuited its advanced targeting systems. In the chaos, Earth's air forces, armed with a combination of traditional fighter jets and experimental anti-gravity missiles, began their attack. The Xanteri scrambled to retaliate, but it was too late. Humanity's ingenuity had outpaced the invaders. The warship, once a symbol of alien supremacy, crashed into the Atlantic Ocean, sending shockwaves across the globe. The world stood still in awe as the news spread. Earth had won its first victory against a vastly superior enemy. In every corner of the planet, people cheered, and leaders of all nations scrambled to form alliances. The once divided world was united by a single powerful truth: humanity was not the helpless species the galaxy had assumed. But this was only the beginning. The Xanteri, humiliated and furious, retreated, vowing to return with reinforcements. They had underestimated humanity's resolve, but now they had a new goal: to eliminate this growing threat before it could evolve beyond their control. For humanity, the victory was a taste of the power they never knew they possessed. But it was also a warning. The galaxy had taken notice. The rise of Earth was inevitable. And with it, the full force of galactic fear. The world watched in awe as the wreckage of the Raven's Fang was pulled from the ocean. News channels played footage of the crashed warship, its once pristine exterior now scorched and battered. For a brief moment, humanity basked in the glow of victory. However, deep within the heart of the galaxy, the implications of Earth's triumph were far from celebratory. The Xanteri, humiliated and enraged, returned to their homeworld. Their leaders, powerful and ancient, convened in a grand council chamber, the once pristine walls now marred by the presence of an overwhelming fury. The loss of the Raven's Fang was more than a tactical failure. It was a symbol of a new, unpredictable force that had defied centuries of galactic supremacy. For the first time in millennia, the Xanteri found themselves staring into the abyss of an unknown future. Humanity is an anomaly. High Commander Vraxar, a towering figure in the Xanteri military, spat as he addressed his council. They are not supposed to exist like this. We cannot allow it to continue. The Xanteri knew that their only option was to return to Earth with overwhelming force. But they were not alone in their growing concern. The Ferrith Empire, a technologically advanced race of sentient machines, had long dominated the galaxy's trade routes. Seeing the rise of a potential rival on the horizon, they too began to mobilize their fleets. Their cold, calculating minds analyzed the situation with precision. They saw humanity not only as a threat to galactic stability, but as a potentially dangerous power that must be contained or destroyed before it could rise further. And then there were the Shed, a merciless, war-hardened species who had conquered entire star systems through sheer brutality. Their leaders saw the human victory as a sign of weakness among the more advanced alien races. If the humans could defeat the Xanteri, perhaps they could topple the entire order of galactic hierarchy. On Earth, humanity's leaders could sense the growing storm. Though they had won their first victory, they understood the stakes were now much higher. As they worked to stabilize their newfound alliances with various alien factions that had long been oppressed, the political landscape began to shift. The UN Security Council was restructured, and world governments hastily drafted military strategies. Earth's military expanded rapidly, adapting alien technologies at a staggering pace. But despite these advances, humanity was still far from prepared for the coming invasion. The Galactic Coalition began to react, sending envoys to Earth, some with offers of peaceful negotiation, others with threats of imminent destruction. The message was clear: Earth's victory had not gone unnoticed. The great powers of the galaxy were watching and plotting their next move. Back on Earth, as military and diplomatic leaders scrambled to prepare for what was coming, there were whispers among the populace. Were the alien threats truly as powerful as they seemed? Could humanity stand its ground against an entire galaxy of powerful ancient empires? A sense of unease settled over the planet. But so too did something else: determination. The humans had made their mark on the galaxy. They had proven that they could rise, adapt, and fight. And they were not about to back down. As the news of the victory spread, humanity's euphoria began to fade, replaced by the grim reality of what lay ahead. Earth had not only survived the first alien invasion, but had also struck a blow that sent ripples through the galaxy. The once unified alien empires were now fractured by suspicion and fear. No one could deny the fact. Humanity was now a force to be reckoned with. But how far would their newfound power take them? The Xanteri, seething with humiliation, had begun to rally their forces. The Ferrith Empire, calculating and cold, made no secret of their intent to either subdue humanity or annihilate them outright. Yet, despite the rising threats, it wasn't just the military that posed a danger. Diplomatic channels buzzed with the clandestine activities of several alien factions, each vying for influence over Earth. In the shadows, behind the veneer of diplomacy and peace talks, a deeper, more insidious power struggle was taking place. The Ferrith, who had long controlled the galaxy's trade routes through their technological dominance, sought to manipulate humanity for their own gains. In a rare moment of unity, they approached Earth with a tempting offer: an alliance that would solidify humanity's place in the galaxy, but on Ferrith terms. Their high-tech ships and advanced knowledge could bolster Earth's defenses, but they demanded Earth's cooperation in return for their help. At first, Earth's leaders were cautious but intrigued. The Ferrith were formidable and undeniably useful, but their reputation for cold, calculating manipulation was not forgotten. The Ferrith offered technology that could propel humanity's capabilities far beyond the primitive weapons they'd used to defeat the Xanteri. However, there was a catch. Humanity would need to share its strategic military data, opening the door for the Ferrith to quietly monitor Earth's military developments. Despite some concerns, Earth's governments, eager to prepare for the inevitable retaliation from the alien empires, agreed to the alliance. But just as the ink dried on the treaty, humanity's new partnership with the Ferrith took a deadly turn. In a shocking turn of events, the Zed Empire, brutal and unpredictable, made their move. The Zed, long known for their aggressive and expansionist nature, saw the Ferrith's growing influence over Earth as a threat to their own interests. They launched a devastating surprise attack on Earth's military installations, wiping out entire fleets and leaving key defense systems crippled. The attack wasn't just a military strike. It was a calculated blow to humanity's burgeoning position in the galactic order. The Ferrith, whom humanity had trusted, stood by, eerily quiet. The truth slowly began to surface. The Ferrith had been complicit in the Zed's assault, all part of a larger plan to keep humanity in check and prevent Earth from becoming too powerful. They had baited humanity with the promise of protection, only to watch as their enemies took advantage of the chaos. Earth's leaders were stunned, betrayed by an empire they had thought would be their savior. The realization hit hard. The Ferrith had manipulated them, using their alliances with other empires to ensure humanity remained weak and divided. The negotiations that had seemed promising were now revealed to be a web of lies, and the world stood on the brink of war. Now, with their defense systems in tatters and their alliances in ruins, humanity faced a grave decision. Would they continue to fight for survival on their own terms, or would they bow to the brutal forces of the galaxy that sought to break them? The Zed and the Ferrith had just made it personal. But Earth was not a species to back down. The flames of betrayal burned brightly in the hearts of humanity, and the war that had begun with a single victory was now a full-scale battle for the future of the galaxy. Humanity had learned something vital. Survival wasn't about power alone. It was about unity and the will to fight against all odds. As the dust of the Zed assault settled, Earth's shattered defenses began to rebuild, but it was clear, humanity needed more than mere survival. They needed a weapon, something that would give them the power to challenge the alien empires directly. Amid the chaos of the war, a breakthrough came from an unexpected source. Deep in the ruins of a crashed alien vessel, one that had been left behind during the Xantari invasion, an expedition of human scientists and military engineers stumbled upon a hidden chamber. Inside, they discovered a relic far older than anything the galaxy had seen, a mysterious artifact pulsating with strange energy. Its design was unlike anything humans had encountered, even among the advanced alien technology they had scavenged. The artifact, engraved with symbols not of the Xantari or Ferrith, but of a forgotten civilization known as the Anuhar, hummed with an unsettling power. The Anuhar were rumored to be the galaxy's first great empire, one that rose to dominance millennia before the current powers, only to mysteriously vanish from history. The artifact appeared to be a weapon, a device capable of manipulating energy on a scale beyond human comprehension. Humanity's top scientists, led by Dr. Lena Farrow, a brilliant xenobiologist who had studied alien cultures for years, began the delicate process of unlocking the artifact's secrets. Every step forward was met with resistance. Alien artifacts were notoriously difficult to understand, and many of the symbols were untranslatable. But with Earth's war effort faltering and time running out, there was no choice but to push forward. The first breakthrough came when the scientists discovered that the artifact was not just a weapon. It was a power amplifier, capable of enhancing energy sources and converting them into devastating weapons of mass destruction. It was capable of focusing and amplifying the power of any energy-based attack, making it a potential game-changer in the war. The implications were clear. With the knowledge hidden in the artifact, humanity could turn the tide of the conflict, but only if they could figure out how to harness its full power. The problem was that the artifact required a rare form of energy, one that only existed in limited quantities across the galaxy. Worse still, the process to harness that energy was incredibly dangerous, risking catastrophic failures if misused. As the scientists worked around the clock to crack the code, they began receiving messages from alien factions, some offering assistance, others trying to sabotage their progress. The Xantari, now more desperate than ever to eliminate humanity, dispatched their best operatives to infiltrate Earth's research teams. The Ferrith, seeing the potential for immense power, were quick to offer their own resources, but only in exchange for a share of the technology. And the Zed, not to be outdone, had already begun their own covert operations to find the artifact and claim its power for themselves. But there was a glimmer of hope. A group of renegade alien scientists from a neutral faction, who had long been opposed to the Galactic Empire's brutal tactics, secretly approached humanity with an offer of cooperation. They had been studying the Anuhar for decades and believed they could help unlock the artifact's full potential. As Earth's leaders weighed the growing pressure from all sides, they realized that their only chance at survival lay in mastering the Anduhar technology. The artifact was their last, best hope, but it would come at a price. The galaxy's powers would stop at nothing to either steal or destroy the relic. The countdown to war had begun in earnest. Time was running out, and the race to control the artifact had begun. Humanity would have to make alliances, face betrayals, and outthink their enemies if they were to harness the ancient weapon in time. But as Dr. Pharaoh's team made their final breakthrough, they realized something even more shocking. There were clues within the artifact that hinted at a larger, more terrifying force, one that had destroyed the Anduhar Empire centuries ago and was now on the verge of returning. The race to unlock the power of the Anduhar artifact intensified. Humanity's scientists worked tirelessly, their hands trembling with both excitement and dread as they decoded more of the artifact's hidden functions. Dr. Lena Pharaoh, leading the research, had unearthed an astonishing discovery. The artifact wasn't just a weapon amplifier, but a gateway. A doorway to an ancient, lost network of knowledge left behind by the Anduhar civilization. The artifact's primary function wasn't just to enhance energy. It was a key to an ancient, vast system of energy sources and technologies that spanned the galaxy. These systems, powered by the very essence of the stars themselves, had allowed the Anduhar to dominate the galaxy for centuries. But in their hubris, they had triggered the very thing that wiped them out, a cataclysmic force known as the Sundering. The Sundering was no mere weapon. It was a force that had the power to tear apart entire star systems, ripping through the fabric of reality itself. The Anduhar's failure to understand the consequences of their technology had led to their own downfall. Their empire, once the most advanced in the galaxy, had collapsed in an instant, leaving only ruins and myths. And now, humanity had unwittingly uncovered the key to that same power. Dr. Pharaoh realized the gravity of their discovery too late. The Anduhar's downfall wasn't just a story of lost civilizations. It was a cautionary tale. The technology humanity had unearthed was both a boon and a curse. If they misused it, they could ignite the same cataclysm that destroyed the Anduhar. The more they studied the artifact, the clearer it became that the power it could unleash wasn't just a matter of devastating weaponry. It was the ability to manipulate entire star systems, to collapse suns, to reshape galaxies. It could reshape the fate of the galaxy in humanity's hands, but at a terrible cost. News of the artifact's potential spread quickly. The galaxy's powers were watching, waiting. The Farith Empire, now fully aware of the artifact's capabilities, pushed harder for control, offering even more resources to humanity. The Zed, furious at the betrayal of the Farith, doubled their efforts to seize the artifact and its technology by force. The Xanteri, battered but not broken, prepared for one final brutal assault on Earth, eager to claim the weapon for themselves. But there were whispers of a new, darker threat emerging from the shadows, one that had remained hidden for millennia. As humanity unlocked more secrets of the Anduhar technology, an ancient, dormant race, long thought extinct, began to stir. The Tharkai, a race even older than the Anduhar, had once ruled the galaxy in the distant past. Their civilization had been destroyed by the Sundering, and their remnants had been scattered across the stars. But the Tharkai were not truly gone. They had been lying in wait, deep in the dark corners of the galaxy, their technology preserved by the very energy humanity now sought to control. The Tharkai's motives were unknown, but their hatred for the Anduhar, and any race that sought to wield their power, was legendary. As their dormant forces began to awaken, a silent war raged in the deepest reaches of space, unnoticed by humanity or the other galactic empires. And all the while, Earth's leaders wrestled with a terrible decision. Could they use the Anduhar technology to secure their place in the galaxy, or would they destroy it to prevent the galaxy from falling into chaos? The Farith and Jed demanded action, urging humanity to choose their side in the coming war. But Dr. Pharaoh and her team had grown increasingly wary. They realized that the sundering was not just a consequence of the Anduhar's power, it was a warning. If humanity pressed forward, they risked triggering the very destruction that had wiped out the Anduhar Empire. The universe was holding its breath. Earth stood at the precipice of something far greater than any of its leaders had ever imagined. The question was no longer whether humanity could survive the alien threat. It was whether humanity could hold the power of the Anduhar without falling into the same trap that had led to the fall of the galaxy's first empire. The galaxy had become a powder keg with humanity caught at its center. With the Tharkai fleets now moving inexorably toward Earth, the stakes had never been higher. Time was rapidly running out, and humanity was on the brink of a decision that would alter the course of the galaxy forever. The coordinates hidden in the Anduhar artifact promised to hold the key to either stopping the Tharkai or accelerating their deadly return. On Earth, a tense atmosphere gripped the world's leaders as they convened in a high-stakes summit to decide humanity's fate. Dr. Lena Farrow, along with the military advisors and political figures, was tasked with delivering a crucial message. Humanity could no longer afford to wait. The Tharkai were drawing closer, their ships darkening the skies of human-controlled space. The question that remained was clear. Should they attempt to unlock the Anduhar's final secret, or destroy the artifact and all its potential for good or ill? Despite the mounting pressure, the world was divided. A faction of military leaders, emboldened by the alien technology they had already integrated into their forces, wanted to use the artifact's power to strike back at the Tharkai and their galactic foes. To them, the artifact wasn't just a relic, it was a symbol of humanity's potential. This group believed that with the Anduhar's power, they could carve out a new future for themselves, reshaping the galaxy to their advantage. But they risked repeating the mistakes of the past, triggering a war that could destroy everything. Others, like Dr. Farrow, argued for caution. The artifact was too dangerous. No civilization had ever harnessed such power without catastrophe. Even with the knowledge of the Anduhar's downfall, they were unsure if the galaxy could survive the unleashing of such a force. And then there were those who simply wanted to destroy the artifact entirely, ending the nightmare before it began. The Tharkai might destroy Earth, but the risk of becoming like the Anduhar was too great. As the debate raged on, the first Tharkai ships entered Earth's system, their massive vessels looming like silent harbingers of doom. The Tharkai's emissaries sent their final ultimatum: hand over the artifact, or face total annihilation. The message was clear. The Tharkai would not negotiate. They would not spare Earth. They would eradicate humanity if the Anduhar technology was not surrendered. The pressure was unbearable. But then, amidst the cacophony of war drums, a breakthrough came. Dr. Farrow's team, working around the clock, uncovered the full set of coordinates hidden within the artifact. They discovered the location, a distant, uncharted star system at the edge of the galaxy, far beyond the reach of known empires. It was a desolate, cold place, with no apparent resources, but there was something there, something that the Anduhar had left behind long ago. It was a facility, ancient and buried deep beneath the surface of a dead planet, untouched by time. The facility held the last secret of the Anduhar, a device capable of controlling the sundering itself. The Anduhar had built it as a safeguard, a last resort weapon meant to contain the power they had unleashed. If humanity could reach this place and activate the device before the Tharkai arrive, they could potentially neutralize the threat, or at the very least, slow it long enough to buy precious time. But the path was fraught with peril. The Tharkai knew what humanity had discovered. They could not allow the device to be activated. The galaxy's fate was now in the hands of a small group of human soldiers, scientists, and pilots who would embark on a desperate mission to reach the hidden facility before their enemies did. With no other choice, humanity's leaders ordered the launch of a fleet to the coordinates, preparing for an all-out war to secure the Anduhar's secret. As Earth's forces mobilized, the first shots of the galactic conflict were fired. The Tharkai, with their unmatched mastery of dimensional warfare, attacked with brutal precision, devastating Earth's outer defenses and pushing humanity's fleet to the edge. But humanity would not go down without a fight. A small strike team of elite soldiers, led by General Isaac Rourke, was dispatched to the remote star system to find the facility. They faced not only the threat of Tharkai warships, but also the terrifying possibility that the Sundering might have been set in motion the moment they triggered the artifact. The path ahead was uncertain, but one thing was clear. Humanity was no longer the prey. They had become the hunters in a deadly game, and the galaxy would soon learn just how far humanity would go to survive. The galaxy stood at the precipice of all-out war. As humanity's fleet plunged deeper into the uncharted star system, the Tharkai pursued with relentless fury. Their warships, monstrous in size and cloaked in the dark energy of ancient technology, tore through the void, their weapons capable of tearing apart entire fleets in moments. The stakes had never been higher, and humanity's hope lay with a small strike force sent to locate the Anwar's final secret, the device capable of halting the Sundering. General Isaac Rourke and his team of elite soldiers, scientists, and engineers pressed on, racing toward the barren planet where the Anwar had hidden their safeguard device. As they neared the desolate world, its surface appeared eerily still, a world scarred by time and ancient conflict. But beneath the surface lay a forgotten, colossal structure, a testament to the Anwar's once great empire, now buried in silence. As Rourke's team descended to the planet's surface, their ship was ambushed by Tharkai scouts. The Tharkai had known their target all along, anticipating humanity's move. A fierce battle erupted above the barren planet, as humanity's forces struggled to defend their only hope against the oncoming storm. Explosions and energy blasts filled the void, echoing the desperate struggle for survival. Rourke and his team managed to break through the Tharkai blockade, descending to the planet's surface in a daring maneuver. The facility they sought lay ahead, a structure built into the planet's crust, hidden by centuries of dust and decay. It was a monumental achievement of Anwar engineering, with walls that pulsed with an eerie ancient energy. The soldiers, weapons at the ready, ventured deep within. Inside the facility, they discovered a machine of unimaginable power, surrounded by strange alien inscriptions. It was the last safeguard of the Anuhar, the device capable of manipulating the Sundering's energy. It was clear that this machine, if activated, could either neutralize the catastrophic force that threatened the galaxy or cause an even greater devastation. But as they prepared to activate the device, the worst possible scenario unfolded. The Tharkite forces had arrived, already swarming the perimeter, their advanced technology ready to overwhelm humanity's meager defenses. In a matter of minutes, the planet would be overrun. In a last-ditch effort to ensure that humanity's future wasn't lost to the Tharkai's wrath, Dr. Lena Farrow, who had accompanied the strike team, realized the shocking truth. The device wasn't merely a weapon. It was a fail-safe, designed to end the Anduhar Empire once and for all. The Sundering was not just an energy storm. It was a force of erasure, capable of wiping out entire star systems from existence. The Tharkai had not been its creators, but they had learned of it, and it was their way of ensuring that no civilization could ever rise to challenge them. Realizing that activating the device would not only doom the Tharkai, but potentially the entire galaxy, Farrow faced a critical decision. Would she destroy the Anduhar technology and ensure that the Tharkai would eventually retake the galaxy, or would she attempt to control the machine's power to permanently rid the galaxy of its ancient threat? As the Tharkai forces closed in, Farrow made her choice. She activated the device, triggering an immense pulse of energy that sent shockwaves through the planet. The Sundering began, a catastrophic release of energy that raged through the galaxy, erasing everything in its path, including the Tharkai warships. Their fleet was annihilated in seconds, their forces obliterated in a flash of blinding light. But the cost was far greater than humanity had anticipated. The energy of the Sundering, uncontrolled, spread outward, destabilizing entire regions of space. The Anuhar's final creation had not been a mere weapon. It was an unstable force, one that had turned on itself. As the shockwaves continued to ripple through the galaxy, the very fabric of reality began to twist and buckle. Entire star systems were obliterated, and time itself seemed to warp in unpredictable ways. In the chaos that followed, humanity's fleet, under the leadership of General Rourke, fought to survive. They were forced into a desperate retreat, their victory in securing the galaxy's future coming at a terrible price. The sundering had ended the immediate threat of the Tharkai, but it had also unleashed an unknown force, one that would leave its mark on the galaxy for generations to come. As the dust of battle settled and humanity's fleets limped back toward Earth, a bittersweet realization took hold. The galaxy had been forever changed. The war was not over, and the consequences of their actions would echo through the stars. The artifact had given humanity the power to survive, but the cost of that survival was steep. The galaxy's future was uncertain, but one thing was clear. Humanity had proven that they were no longer weak, no longer the prey of alien empires. They had faced unimaginable odds and emerged victorious, but at what cost? As the survivors returned to Earth, they knew that their struggle was far from over. The galaxy had been forever altered, and humanity's place within it would be defined by the choices they made in the coming years.